Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 1 of SuperCoach Swordplay. Boys, we are back. It's been such a long time in the making. Obviously, we've had the year off. It's been pretty tough to commit to. I'll start off with my co-host for this podcast, my partner in crime. You all know this bloke, SuperCoach with DR. How good is it to be back, mate? How are you? I know you could be better. Bit of carnage on your behalf. If I want to move on a little bit. But, welcome back to the podcast, mate. And, really good to get this thing fired up again.
Yeah, thanks very much, Bill. It's great to be back. Great to be back with you, legends. But I'll tell you what, week one was absolute carnage for me. Don't even else talk about carnage because once I get to my quick round review, you'll see exactly what I mean. But SuperCoach-wise, a rough start. But obviously, wrap to be back, mate. Wrap that footy's back.
Oh, I've been all over your channel. I've seen the rank, you poor bugger. You'll respond. You'll come good before you know it. I'll introduce this next bloke. This has been a long time in the making for myself and DR. We've been looking for a third person for this podcast to kind of be the sense of the operation, someone that can sort of pull myself and DR's head in from time to time, but more importantly, someone that's here for a little bit of analytical stuff. And this is Janath. He's on Twitter a fair bit. He's our numbers man. It's an absolute pleasure to have you involved in the podcast, Janath. For those of you that may not know you and have been living under a rock on Twitter, would you like to give yourself a little bit of a plug and tell the viewers exactly what you're all about?
Thanks so much for the intro, Phil. So, I'm Janath. Been in the top 1.5K the last couple of years. Best finish of a top 150 finish in 2020. I like my numbers. We'll talk a bit about numbers going forwards. It's good to be able to have a light-hearted conversation with you blokes on the weekly, though.
Yeah, exactly right. No, it's great to have you on board, and I think you'll fit in quite well with this structure. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, but for those of you that haven't tuned into SuperCoach Swordplay, this is a podcast platform that's kind of like your front bar. It's like the front bar of SuperCoach. It's not serious, just a little bit of ramble, something to sort of take your mind off all the players. And as much as I love the serious podcast, I get enough of them. Sometimes I can. So this is just something a little bit different for everyone else to sort of dabble in. Before we move on to this podcast, lads, I posted this on my Twitter and I got a few comments. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on it. But if you had to sum up your week using only one word, what would it be? I'll go around the room and I'll start off with you, DR. What have you got for us, mate?
Look, in case there's any of my students watching this podcast, I'll say beep for the sound. I'll just chuck that sound effect in, mate. I think that should sound enough. I'll go with sound rather than the word.
I can relate to that. Like, it sounds you're tearing your bloody hair out, honestly. What about yourself, Janath? What sums up your week?
Tragic. I think tragic's my word. I'm at a PB, but the wrong PB. I'm at the lower end of these PBs. It's a career worst rank, but surely it can't get worse, right? You have to go up from here.
Onwards and upwards from here, I think, lads. If I had to sum up a word for my week, it would be rabble. An absolute rabble. Things just.
Jeez, we're going well, aren't we, between the three of us?
It's a mess. But look, I think I am in a better situation than you guys because how I went this week. I had a score of 1997, which I think is a bit stiff. Didn't quite hit the 2000s mark, but I'm currently ranked 31K, which I think you take that under the circumstances of what bloody carnage and chaos happened in the 1 week. I mean, this has got to be the biggest crash in SuperCoach since they opened the thing, top 90% overall. So, look, I'm banking that every day of the week, and I'm more than happy to be sitting there. What about yourself, Dale? Where are you sitting at the moment, for those that haven't watched your round review?
Oh, mate. I don't really want to say it, but at this stage, mate, my rank is currently 92,593, sitting in the top 54% of the competition at the moment. Oh, man.
Good job.
Oh, man. Everything that went wrong, that could have went wrong, did. I suppose, except for I didn't have Rory Laird as a captain. I was actually chatting with Janath, and I was so close as well. I'm like, oh, no, I'm going to go with the Bont. I'm worried about a possible tag. It wasn't a tag in the end. Wasn't that just shocking? But look, you've got to take ownership to some of your selections, and it just looks like I got on board the wrong mid prices, which is always going to hurt. But it's only 1 week, mate. I reckon that I've got a good chance of hopefully going up the ranks slightly. I'm hoping anyway, mate. But not the best round from me. Janath, you went a little bit better than me, my friend, but I don't believe it was anything glowing either.
Oh, it's not saying much. Going better than you, TR, this week. In the most kind way possible. 1867 got you by about 20 points. Unfortunately, I did lose 120 points on 2 decisions, which was Cowan on the Thursday, fielded him, gut call, looked good at halftime, just didn't end up all that great. And then we were talking, should I take Bond 107 BC? It's a bit conservative. Ended up captain Roy Laird, lost 50 odd points there. And it's like train wreck of a week. But for both of us and for you, still, the only way is up from here. So we just got to stay positive. Hang in there. Hopefully, might need to use a boost this week out of necessity or just because we just want to get back into it, right? So, but yeah, more to talk about later in the pod. Yourself, Spills?
Yeah, I think that's where I become a little bit more fortunate than you blokes. I'm only using the 1 trade this week just to be conservative and just to free up some money. So, no boost for me. I think the team's fine. Just got a little bit unlucky. I'd like to get a little bit of a sample size on who to target, give a few certain players an extra week to sort of decide exactly who I want to trade in correction-wise. But I understand why people are going there. It just goes to show that it doesn't – you could have gone through the whole practice matches watching absolutely none of it and gone in blindfold. Chances are you probably still would have had like a better starting team. It's just it's unbelievable how it's turned out. It's got to be the worst week for SuperCoach that anyone's ever had, and definitely by far the worst start to round 1 that anyone's ever had. So usually I'm around the top 10% in round 1. There's always those crazy sides. Like, I don't know if you guys saw who won it this week. They had like Jack Crisp at M1 and Matt Rowell. Like, there's always these like shocking teams that come out and just sit, like how they finish. I mean, if you at the start of round 1, you think it would be a top 50k team and they win it overall. So I think there's a lot of sides like that are on top of us. So that's usually around the mark. But yeah, I'm in like 19%. That's a bit stiff, but obviously not as stiff as you guys. But boys, that's another story, isn't it?
Let's move on, surely.
Yeah, rub it in, Shield, you bloody high flyer at 30 odd K.
Oh, no, it's all right, boys. Got a bit lucky. Had the C on Bonapali, which I think's fine. So we'll progress and adapt. Hopefully we can respond. Hopefully we can all respond. It should be pretty good. We'll go into our headline of the week. Now, I didn't have much preparation for this one, so my headline's an absolute shocker. I yelled this at the footy pretty loud, so a bit cringeworthy. Bit of a warning, but my headline for this week, boys, is the very like the highlight of my week, and it is riddle me this, riddle me that. Jordan, I bloody love this bloke. Jordan Ridley absolutely saved my score. He's in 10% of teams, I am pretty sure. So it's a bit of a pod, and he hit the scoreboard, kicked his first goal on the big time. It was a cracker, increased his score, and he did drop off a fair. Fourth quarters gathered momentum and steamrolled the Hawks late. So you had a negative impact on the score in the fourth quarter. So for a 107 off Ridley, who is a fair and reasonable 500 and something K, it's I'm super wrapped with that. Obviously missed day costs for that price, but not losing much with Jordan Ridley. So yeah, really happy with this one. What about yourself, DR? What's your headline, mate?
My headline, unfortunately, history has been made. We talked about that rank before, mate, in the 90,000s. I did mention my round review. I went back to check out what my lowest rank at any point, at any stage during any season has been. It was around 42K, I believe. So the fact that I'm already sitting around 92, I need to come back from twice as far as I did that year. and it's going to be a lot of work, mate. So sometimes you want to make history, but unfortunately, this is unwanted history. But history has been made. But I'm hoping I can also make some history this week by gaining the most ranks I ever had in a single week. That's the hope anyway. So hopefully, we can make some nice history next week, mate.
Oh, it's shocking history for you, though. You don't deserve to be in that pedigree, DR, and I've no doubt whatsoever that you're gonna respond in fine fashion. What about yourself, Janath? What's your headline? I'm interested to hear this one. Your first appearance in the Swordplay podcast. What do you got for us, mate?
So you're going on about someone you did enjoy. Here's my poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. Rory left his tackling in 2022. For a man that averaged 8.1 tackles a game in 2022, to have 2 tackles in his first game, that was the most deplorable performance. That was awful. He's blaming the heat, the hottest game he's ever played in. Well, I think 43 other blokes playing in the same heat. So it's but yeah.
I think Tom Green was too phased about that though.
Yeah. Poor bloke. Poor Tom Green ended up with cramp. That's how hard he tried. Roy didn't even want to run off the square.
Oh yeah.
So that's my warning to you, Rory Laird. Better pick your game up this week, brother.
Oh, look, I know you captained him, Janath, and you're still a bit flat alongside George, who had to play Drink His Sorrows away on Monday. That had me cacking. I fell off my chair laughing when I saw him down the shot, or I don't know if he had 2 or not. It was bloody hilarious. So look, for DR, things could be worse, but I feel like there's still plenty to rant about, and I'm really looking forward to this segment, boys, because one thing I really like is just kicking back, listening to DR just absolutely spit the dummy after being stitched up from something that happened the previous week. Highly anticipated, DR. What do you got for us?
Well, mate, where do I start? Where do I begin? The amount of choices I had to rant about this week was just phenomenal. But going with something a little bit different here. This was so frustrating for me. This is the thing that just topped off what was just the most terrible week I've ever had in SuperCoach. You know, I got to the Sunday and I thought to myself, do you know what? I've got my 2 big ruckmen here, Big Shrek Darcy, Rowan Marshall. They're both going to score well. We've seen rucks in the same game score well. We saw English and Gawn obviously really kill it on the SuperCoach scoreboard. I've got my pod, Wanganeen Millerer. But best of all, I've got Nathan Fife. This man is going to set the world on fire. Mm-hmm. He's going to have a great first 3 weeks, average more than Errol Goulden. You know how it is. Mm-hmm. And mate, did the bloke dish up the most disgusting performance that you've ever seen in your life. But I tell you what, these blokes here did not help the situation. They're the defensive hogs. They wanted absolutely everything, mate. Check this out here, right? Luke Ryan, 171 points. Cox, 154. Young, 137. Are you kidding me here, boys?
Andy Brayshaw's made it as a defender. That's how off the loop we've gone here.
Chip. Get it up to 5. Get the ball up to 5. He had no opportunities because these clowns were just kicking it around by themselves in the back line. The amount of marks they had, I think they had around 50 marks between the top 3, which was Ryan, Cox, and Hayden Young. This was absolutely ridiculous, boys. The amount of ball that they had, the amount of SuperCoach pie, I've never seen anything like this before. And if I had have been more organised here, I would have had this organised in the SuperCoach scores, because Nathan Wilson is up there as well in that top 8 for SuperCoach scores. It was absolutely ridiculous. And even though Fife had an absolute mare, he didn't get any opportunities because these guys are just not getting it up to the forward line, just going around and around the shop. It was just super frustrating. So even though, you know, it's not the fact that I don't have any of these guys and I missed out on their points, it's just the fact that Nat Fife was just like a shag on a rock as well. And an arrow to Longmuir as well. Like in the midfield for 10 minutes. Get him touching the ball. He was doing absolutely nothing up there. So this Sunday was absolute carnage. But a lot of it I blame these backmen. they just didn't get the ball up there. So, what I could have ranted about this week, that was one small thing, but that's what I chose, boys. So, rant over for me. Oh, but come on. Fife's out anyway, so I don't care what these blokes do next week. Don't worry about him. Do I keep him? Oh, man. I don't know. I'm a rabble at the moment. Rant over, boys. I'm an absolute rabble.
Are you ranting on Freo's back six, or are you ranting on Fife, or are you ranting on Ross Lyon's defensive structure that sort of locked Fife down?
Everything.
That's
all
I'm
of them.
not a happy man this week still.
You know what? I'm sorry to say this, DR, but when I picked Bruin over Fife on the Friday night, I was tearing my hair out when I saw that 58. I could have almost, if I hadn't had a few beers, I probably would have cried myself to sleep, honestly. But then I had a few beers with SGS Steve. So shout out to him, by the way, absolute legend. Caught up with him after the game and got basically pretty shit-faced in the big smoke. And I didn't really see any footy or watch the SuperCoach scores. And he pulls out his phone and he goes, "Oh, guess what Nat Fife's on?" I go, "Oh, what? I don't have him. Like, please, hopefully he doesn't explode." He goes, "He's on 6 and it's 3/4 time." And I start cacking. I was like, "You're joking." Like, as if we haven't seen enough carnage this week. He becomes Fife. Like, he's got the easiest run. I mean, and he's I think he's gone below 130 against St Kilda in the last 5 appearances, and he comes out and it's just unbelievable. Shocking luck, DR. Absolutely dreadful. I really do feel for you, buddy. It's
Look,
I don't know.
I knew he's going to be a forward. But that much really? Like, give me a 68 or something, mate. Come on, like it was just. It was painful, Spills. It was painful, mate. But I'm getting him out this week. He's probably going to go 120, knowing my luck, and then I'll be spewing that I traded him out. Look, I don't even want to talk about Nat Fife at the moment, mate. Let's move on, mate. Let's move on.
We'll move on. We'll stop bagging each other out. We'll start bagging other super coaches out. This is a segment that we like to call Super Coaches Who. Now, for those of you that haven't really tuned into our podcast back in 2021 when we last had it, far out, what a long time ago that was. Long time overdue this episode. But Super Coaches Who is basically a bit of a, I hate to say it, but rip-off of list cloggers with Dill Buckley and Dan Gorringe, where they have people who and sort of bag out people that do certain things that annoy them. Super Coaches Who is where we sort of bag out other super coaches who are doing things that we don't really necessarily agree with. Lads, I'll start with mine. And mine is super coaches who are going early on Jason Horne-Francis. Calm down, everybody. Calm down, lads. Give him another week. I mean, he's still – I know he pinched at the midfield, but he saved his score with that. I think he had 50 super coach points in that third quarter when the Lions just fell over. So if you sort of – rule that out, he's probably only on track for an 80 or 90. He did really well. I love what he did. He looked like a young Nathan Buckley or Patrick Dangerfield, and I think he's going to be a star. But let's not get carried away. We've only seen it for 1 week. This is why I'm not going Horne-Francis. I've decided to go down to a rookie type who I will talk about later on, but to free up money because I can't afford anybody. But I want to wait another week for Jason Horne-Francis. I'm a little bit scared to go early because at the end of the day, he is a forward and never hit the ton for North Melbourne, I don't think, last year. So very, very small sample size. I'm more than happy to wait another week. If he rubs my nose in it and hits another ton this week, I will swallow my pride and probably trade him in. I'm happy to accept the defeat. But I sit proud. I stand tall, lads. And, I'm definitely huge advocate for going early on Jason Horne-Francis, but I understand why people would every day of the week. But that's just my take on it. DR, what's yours?
Mate, mine is super coaches who do not pay close attention before every game. And I'm talking about the North Melbourne game in particular here. I just wasn't on it. I was on a call with me mate Brent and did not get the Sheasel news. I did not.
Brent. Oh no, mate.
You can imagine the carnage with Brentos, mate. It's always fun, you know. And I'll tell you, he didn't have the best week, Brentos. I'll have to get him on the Swordplay 1 week, mate. That'll be very entertaining. Getting my man on. But look, it just goes to show how much attention, if you really want to take the game seriously, that you do have to pay. You know, that 15 minutes before the game, I just wasn't there, wasn't around. And if I had have been, I would have started with Sheasel. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, super coaches who don't pay enough attention before each game, yeah, get in check, because it can really hurt you. And I can tell you from experience after week 1. Janath, how about yourself, mate?
Oh, I don't want to rub it in, but that news is out 3 hours before 15 minutes, mate.
Oh,
3 hours.
Cop that too.
You know, I do go to the Amazon when I'm talking to Brent. Yeah, it goes from one conversation to another. It can go from SuperCoach to I don't know. So 3 hours, was it?
Yeah,
Right.
it was a fair while, but we'll give it. You can correct it this week. It's all good. But the super coaches who complain constantly about their team and end in the top 1%, get on my nerves. You guys have a good team, all right? Just stop rubbing it in. Stop trying to seek the attention. You have a good team. Just take the wins with it, and let us low ranks climb the ranks a bit more. But no, it's all part of the fun and games. It's brilliant seeing the community up and about. And I mean, if you're to get personal best ranks, you got to start somewhere, right? You got to, I guess with super coaches, with anything in life, just be humble, just take it in stride, and you'll see that it'll pay off in the end. So have fun, gents.
Love
Yeah,
it,
it is
mate.
a game at the end of the day. That's good advice, but for me, it's turned into more of a lifestyle. I don't like saying that, but my
Obsession.
life's been overruled by SuperCoach. You know, I'm at work. I might go to the toilet quickly, and I'll just every time I go, I just pull my phone out and have a couple of a cheeky dabble on who's hot, a little bit of a scroll on Twitter. Why do I do it? Well, it must be some sort of SuperCoach addiction. Yeah, back in the day, it used to be a bit of a game, but this is the reality. It's sunk in, and I think I might have to go see an AA meeting about some SuperCoach addiction. I shouldn't say that, but fuck, it's getting to that point. And we put that's a shocker. We're probably going to get demonetized for that. But yeah, it's getting out of control. And when you put in, I think George said it on his review, you put in hours and hours of research, and it just gets thrown right in your face. And blokes who couldn't give a toss about it, up in the top 1%. Who writes the script, honestly? Oh, buddy, it does your head in, but oh well, boys, it is what it is.
All good.
Oh, mate. Well, Spills, how about some rookies, mate? How about some rookies? We know that you are the man that's in charge of the rookie reviews these days. Anyone on your radar this week, mate? Can you give us maybe a little taste of what's in your review this week, bud?
Well, first of all, I have brought back the rookie reviews. It was really tough over the off season because there weren't many rookies on the bubble, but the ones that were just so highly owned, like McKenna and Wilmot and Sheasel and Jimby. I mean, most of them were just under like 50%, if not over. So, and then the rest of them were sort of who really knew. So, like preseason rookie reviews were quite hard, but I've done a little bit of research and I've made a really big PowerPoint. I'm not sure if you got it with your DR, but I've broken down every single rookie that played over the weekend and just going over them a little bit, suggesting who's probably the best selection. A little bit similar to how the AFL draft expert Nightmare does it. He obviously goes into far more detail than I do. And with him, it's more of an agenda for the whole sort of season. And it's a big video, and I love what he does. But this is just a little bit of a breakdown. And look, rookie reviews after round one will be a big one, but then they'll die down a lot. They'll probably go for about 5 to 10 minutes. It'll just be a basic review on which rookies we should be targeting. But yeah, the one that I got at the moment, this is just the defense. This is just a small example of what I've done. So obviously I've got their names there, and obviously the colors represent the club that they play for. I've got their DPP involved, their price, their score, durability. That's always an important one, but more often or not, it's usually quite good, except for Chester there, which is quite dismal, but you get that on the big jobs. job security, whether or not they're a sub risk, whether it's really solid or it's poor, their roles. So not just the role that they usually play, but are vulnerable or more likely to play. For example, Gota, we want him off halfback, but there's always that chance that he plays wing. I have color coded it, so red is bad for obvious reasons. Yellow is average, and green is good, and dark green is really good, like excellent there on Tom Cole. So these are just examples, and then where you're going to play them. I recommend you play them on field, avoid them, or if they're a bench option, just things like that. So I've decided to do that, but for every single player, this is just a little bit of an example of what I'll be doing. But back on topic, boys, the rookies I've got in contention this week. Well, I'll go over the ones for each line just to sort of break it down. So in defense, if you need a defender, I reckon Con McKenna is by far the obvious one you got to jump on. Get him in your side, 93, can't really top that. In the midfield, I've actually got a different one who's not even in the video, but I'm thinking Finn Callahan. I know he's not really a rookie, but a little bit overs, but I think he's going to be a couple of outs for the Giants. Might pinch it in the midfield. His role is on paper quite ordinary. He is a winger, but he's a defensive winger. We see Bruin, who is also a winger at times, but he's on the wrong side of it. He's on the defensive sort of, not defensive. He's on the forward side of the wing. Like he's the one that would sort of crumb and provide pressure, where Callahan is almost like a sweeper or an extra halfback. Even though he plays on the wing, he gets behind the ball and gets handball receives, hence why he accumulates, and his inside 50s are just really solid. So I got Callahan for that one. Like, it's a wing role, which is pretty shambolic at times, but it's a good wing role. If you ever wanted a player on the wing, it is Finn Callahan. So if you don't have him, I would jump on him. My choice is Finn. I'm personally going to go Bruin or Hopper. I haven't decided yet, to free up money to go to Finn Callahan. So that's my major move. That's the best rookie I've got in the midfield. In the forward line, for obvious reasons, is Harry Sheasel. I don't need to go into that one at all. He's going to be a star. Got a friendly roll off halfback. Will they persist with him? I don't know. It doesn't matter what he scores because he's in 60% of teams now. And another one on the forward line too. If you've already got Sheasel, Cade Chandler as well on the bench, he should accumulate some good money. Don't field him, but he's got a very nice low break even. We'll make a lot of coin. And in the rucks, there's only one rookie, and it's Asava Radaglia. There's nobody else, and I've already got him. That's just a little bit of a taste for what is so much. This video here that I'll be uploaded tonight, hopefully, if I have time for it. But it'll go for about 30 minutes. I'm going over each rookie as quick as I can. But yeah, boys, this is just a little bit of an insight to what I'll be doing this year. I'll be bringing it back and really trying my best. And yeah, if there's anything you guys want to comment on or any advice or feedback, it'd be
question for you.
Yes.
So Chandler, you rate his job security at all? With let's say Pickett,
he's not on the list.
But yeah, as a forward,
he's not on the list. I would obviously because this is just the defenders. Like, this is just to show what it looks like. But the teaser. I won't say what I've put him in terms of job security, but let's just say that I'm a little bit worried about Fritter coming back into the team. But I did see a list of available D's players who I think there are about 4 of them who are definitely potential for best 22. I know Cozzy's missing a bit of football, so that sort of opens up a spot. But long term, I do worry a little bit about Chandler. But for a really quick cash grab on your bench, I think if you want to trade him in for Campbell Chesser, that will be the perfect one with some DPP. I'm not doing that yet until I might assess it next week. But yeah, if you were to get in a 123k rookie, I think Chandler would 100% be the guy.
Yeah,
What do you boys reckon on him? Do you guys hold on Chandler, or I like what I saw, but I mean, I never considered him. Like, a few have.
Not this week. Not this week. I don't. Yeah, it's just too early. We've seen it so many times in the past where one of these rookies has punched out a 90-odd in week one and then just turned back to the 50s after that. So look, certainly, maybe if he gets a 70 plus this week, you may look at it. But how many weeks are we actually getting? How many price rises do we expect from Chandler when a few of these other blokes are available again? I think it may be a little bit fakier, particularly with Cozzy out of the side as well for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think so.
For me, I don't think he's a must-have. I've heard a couple of people say that he's an absolute must-have. And hey, next week, if he goes as a decent score again, then you may view him as a must-have. You may even think to yourself he's bought himself some more job security with a really nice performance as well. But I think it's just too early at the moment for me. The only one I wanted to touch on quickly here in the back line, this is just for this week, is Darcy Wilmot, the Pepsi Max King. Kitty Coleman is out with concussion. So I'm expecting him to possibly go back, play most likely some more defensive minutes, and I think that's better for his game. We hate the wing role, as we know. So, I think that he's got a decent chance of scoring well this week. When I say scoring well, we're not talking 90-plus type scores. But, hey, if you can get close to a 65-70, I think that'd be a small win for us anyway.
Just to add to that is that round 1 points matter the least of any points across the whole season because of the 3-round rolling average. So the round 1 score is only going to be in there for 1 price rise or for some players price fall. Round 2 scores, though, if we say let's take one of the defenders here. Let's say Wilmot scores 70. That 70 is going to be in there for two games, and that's what really accelerates the price gen. So, Spills, great stuff here. The rookie rate, I'm really looking forward to seeing your videos getting punched out weekly, especially during upgrade season. We need someone to go down to, don't we? When we want to upgrade, get our primo in, we want someone to get down to, and I think these videos are going to be brilliant.
I'll do my best. I don't know how much traction and views they're going to get, but I'll just try and be consistent with it and see how we go. It did go all right last year when I uploaded it. A couple of them hit 1,000 views, which is always good, and hopefully with a little bit of advertising on Twitter and TikTok, we can get it sort of firing. But look, we'll see how we go, guys. Should be good with it. Looking forward to doing my own segment and diving into a few of the rookies. We'll move on to our next segment. So this is another one that is kind of new. I will explain it, obviously, because it's the first episode of the year for those that are unaware of what it is, but pretty straightforward. This is our SuperCoach big calls. Calls that are quite often viewed as controversial, contentious, off-putting to some. Some might be a disagreement of what we have to say, but opinions that we back ourselves with, and we will state them on this podcast and probably cop a lot of heat and hate for it, but that's what it's all about. We want to separate the world with debate, and this is the segment. I'm really looking forward to this one. This is probably one of my favorite segments of this podcast. Boys, I'm going to kick this one off. This is my big call coming into round 2, and it is, I think you will all agree, that's quite a big one. Nick Dacos is going to bomb this week, and Port Adelaide are going to go after him. So come at me, boys. What do you got?
What's he scoring?
I reckon 80, 85. I reckon
85.
I'd take it.
You take that.
Oh no, respectable. I don't know. What do you score against Hawthorn when he got tagged? I don't think he's going to get worn that hard, but I don't think he's going to go over 100.
Yeah.
50 odd. Oh, if only. I don't know. It's a controversial one, lads. I don't know about it. I think I'm just trying to psych myself up because I'm not going down that path this week. So it's giving me a little bit of closure, like backing myself in, because I have seen some. There's been a little bit of speculation. I've seen a cheeky report from Port Adelaide. Someone looks like they're going to go after him. So. I don't know. It could come back and blow up in my face, but if it doesn't, boys, I'll be happy and be popping champagne. But until that happens, here we are. What about yourself, DR? Surely you don't have a big call as controversial and as contentious as that one, mate. What do you got?
I don't know, mate. Look, one thing that really surprised me this week when you look at the most traded in players, bloody Dane Rampy. I could not believe it. How many people are actually looking to bring this bloke in? So my big call is anyone that either started or brought Dane Rampy in this week will not win SuperCoach. I don't think it's possible. If you started with Rampy, and no offense to anyone that did, no offense really, but Really? Where did you pull that pick from? Out of everyone you could have selected, how did you start Dane Rampy? I'm not too sure. And what are people expecting by bringing him in? Janath just mentioned before that big score is only going to be in his price cycle for the 1 week. Do not expect 150 odds from this bloke. It's not going to happen. This is the same bloke that was climbing goalposts, and don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, if you've traded him in this week, reverse the trades, get out of the pick, because I almost go close to guaranteeing you that it's not going to work out for you long term.
I don't know anyone that has him, honestly. I've seen a few trade him in, which is a little bit of bait. Like we are sort of giving it to Rampy. We'll say this: he delivers quite a handy grand final defeat speech. All class from him last year. He's an unbelievable captain. But if you've gone for him in SuperCoach, you must be out of your mind, honestly. It's just no way it's gonna work out. I think the ones that already owned him were just like, I don't know, casual Sydney supporter SuperCoaches who were just giving it a crack and picking their fan favourites.
Cracking the team, yeah.
He's kind of like me.
He's meant to be a good bloke. Freo Tragic, our man Dan Mashman, who came on for our 3 team reviews. He works at a cafe, I believe, and Dane's a regular in there as well. So he's a nice guy, talks about footy and all the rest, knows him by first name. So, he's meant to be a ripping bloke, Mr. Rampy. So no offense, but look, SuperCoach-wise, you don't stick blokes in your team because they're nice fellas, do you? Really? Let's come on.
Don't mind that, DR. That's good from you. Very, very conservative, because he isn't the most relevant bloke, where Dacos is probably in over 50% of teams. I have not looked. So there will be a large crowd that come after me with daggers. You're probably a little bit safe, I think, DR. So I reckon I got you there, buddy. But what about you, Janath? Can you top any of that? What's your big call for your first ever big calls, and what do you got for us?
I'm not going after anyone, but I'm going to go after the midfielders. So in round 1, the top 3 scoring players were all pure defenders in SuperCoach, and only one of the top 10 scorers was mid only. So I'm backing in the mids. 5, so only one, that was LDU. 5 of the top 10 players at least in round 2 will be pure mids. That's my big call.
Yeah.
I'm backing in the big mids, and I'll double down and say that Callum Mills, he won't score 200 against Hawthorn, so he'll get a 150. That's my big call for the week.
Oh, that's huge. I like it. I really like that, Janath. That's a good first from you.
Even if he's not a pure mid, he's going to dominate. The whole Sydney midfield is going to dominate. One of them's going to get tagged by Finn McGuinness, and the others are just going to dominate. So
very quickly, let's go around. Janath, who you reckon Finn goes to? Who's his first
Chad Warner, please,
Chad
not
Warner?
Goulden.
I'm hoping like hell it's going to be Warner, because I've buckled and I'm actually going to bring Errol in this week.
You're not.
I'm worried about him getting tagged out Hawthorn. That's why I don't start him. Man, I'm a rabble. I'm telling you, I'm an absolute rabble. I think it's probably a safe defensive pick from me though, with his high ownership. But bloody hell, I tell you what, if it's Errol, I'm just going to give up.
Delete team,
mate. If it's Errol, please be Warner. Spills, tell us, mate, who's the gut feel? Who's he going to? Who's he going to terrorise on the weekend?
I don't know. I think hopefully Warner, but yeah, there's every chance that he goes, you know what, Errol, I'm not copping that. I watched him very closely on the weekend, and he tore Zach Merritt to shreds at times. Zach played really well, I thought, under the circumstances, but his ball use and the lack of kicks in the corridor that he usually gets, it was so limited. This is how it works. So every single CBA, Finn would be at half forward and Merritt would be in the midfield. As soon as the ball was thrown up, Finn would go straight to Merritt and wear him like a glove. So on that, I think Warner would probably be the man. But yeah, there is every chance that Errol cops a cheeky tag, and then poor DR will be on the receiving end of that. But I do respect you, DR. I love a man who sticks fat with his word, and you were always hot on that all preseason. I like the fact that you didn't start him because of that. You backed yourself in. But yeah, you've lost no fans there, mate. If you trade him in, you have every right to, because he did look spectacular. But I can 100% see why he didn't go there. We'll see how he goes against
I guess the
Hawthorn,
other thing is you're swallowing your ego, mate. Take it.
Look, you've got to
You
sometimes.
thought you backed yourself
it's
in.
all
It doesn't look right. So you swallow your ego. You just bring him in. Go with the crowd. All good, mate. Seriously.
I'm trying not to be
We're
too
all
stubborn.
human.
I hate it, and I hate doing it as well. It's so painful. Believe me, it's so painful. But I think it's the most sensible decision. Trying to take the emotion out of it. Think with your head. High ownership player. We saw the CBAs. We've seen it in season now, not just a pracky match. So, look. Even if Finn gives him a little bit of terror this week, long term, I think it's going to be a good selection. But I'll be a dagger. It will be a dagger. But that's life, eh? That's life.
That's it,
no, I understand why you've done it, DR. But yeah, no, I'll be right. Hopefully Errol goes all right. All right, next segment here is another one a lot of people will be aware of. This is our SuperCoach sacrifice. So we didn't do many of these when the podcast was on. So yeah, as always, because it is the first episode, I will explain it and go through it with everybody so they know what the hell is going on. The SuperCoach sacrifice is where we use a little bit of pun on a player that we really sort of, whether they've done wrong by us, or usually we'd sacrifice an item that we would bring on the podcast and sort of ramble about it. For example, a couple of years ago when we had this podcast up and running, I bought this sort of like glass sculpture thing on the podcast, really pretty looking thing that looked like it would belong in a genie bottle. And that was my sacrifice to Isaac Heaney after I bought him in, and he did really well for me. So it was a little bit of a prey to the SuperCoach gods, if you will. So my SuperCoach sacrifice for this week, boys, is quite boring. It's not really an item that you'll see, but it's under my mic, and it is the desk. I'm rambling on the desk, and if Rory Laird doesn't sit, Rory Laird is the desk. There's no doubt about that. That's the nickname. Everybody knows that. If he scores shit house again, I'm going to get rid of this desk and throw it in the bin, because I lost faith, and then I'll probably end up trading Rory Laird. I think the threshold for me is 90 points. I don't know if it sucks, but 90 points. Yeah, if he goes 90 or under, I'm gonna absolutely rage. But I'm hoping he can hit the ton at least and give us a respectable score. We saw how consistent he was last year, and it was the weather. So hopefully Adelaide get a little bit of a cold southwesterly coming through to sort of suit this guy's needs. But
oh, come on, what do we want to do? Put one of those little umbrellas in his drink bottle and like give him a banana? Too hot?
What's he want? What do you mean?
Too hot for Cogs or Green, or you know what? Green had a red hot start last year, and he faded out because of his tank, because of his endurance. He ran out the game, well, not fantastically, but better than, he handled the conditions better than bloody Laird. I couldn't believe that he didn't have gastro. I'd almost convinced myself that this bloke had gastro. I was almost 100%. I thought, nah, something's going on. Anyway, yeah. Man.
I thought he had COVID, honestly, like just looking at him and the scores.
What's wrong? He's half dead. This bloke.
He was quarantining from the rest of the players. He was doing good by us. He was doing good by the rest of his teammates. He didn't want to touch them, go near them.
I'm still so salty on this. I mean, what do you mean, Rory? What do you mean the weather? People forget, like Tom Green is a borderline ginger. I mean, if he copped it in the sun, everybody would, like the poor bloke. So what's Rory Laird got to complain about? Honestly, bloody rabble, lads. It's absolute. Oh, it's bollocks. Yeah. It's unreal. It's moving on. Moving on. Who wants to go next?
I'll tell you, mate. I'm actually going to have a break this week. I'm going to pass on to Janath, but reason being, I'm going to actually cook up a storm for a sacrifice next week. I've got something big planned, something big in mind, and I guarantee you that the SuperCoach gods are going to enjoy this. So I'm going to pass it on to Janath. I believe Janath doesn't just have one sacrifice, but he's got a couple up his sleeve, I believe. So he's got to more than compensate for my lack of a sacrifice this week. But I guarantee you, SuperCoach gods, I know that you are listening. You watch and see everything that we do. Next week, I'll have a lovely, lovely sacrifice for you. Believe me, you will enjoy it.
Good stuff, DR. Looking forward to that.
I will.
What do you got
I
for
will.
us, mate, for your debut?
I will. For my debut, I'm going to compensate for your lack of a sacrifice. Not one, not two, 3 sacrifices. All right, here we go.
You have come prepared. Far out.
We have a Tim Tam. Actually, we'll make a 4. Make a 4. We'll go. No,
Go another one. Check
Stick
another
with
one.
3. Stick with 3. Stick with 3.
What is happening there?
A Tim Tam for Tim Taranto.
Love it.
Dunked into a glass of milk. So we got Josh Dunkley in there. For my boy, Lockie Cowan Moo. So there we go. Tim Taranto, Josh Dunkley, Lockie Cowan. I expect nothing less than 2 tons from Josh Dunkley and Tim Taranto. And I'll take a 60. A 60 with the emergency from Lockie Cowan.
Oh, and he has a board as well. That is magnificent, mate. I tell you, he's an intelligent man, isn't he, Spills? He brings a little bit of class to this podcast, I think, mate. So
I think Janath is going to run rings around us on the regular.
For Josh. I tell you what, talk about big calls. What is this big call about him when the Brownlow? I've just referred to Ashcroft all preseason as a Rising Star winner, and Sheasel just goes, "Hold my glass of milk in a Tim Tam, please." Like, seriously.
Cop that DR straight in your face. That's what I love about you, Janath. You just got the preparation of this man. He's unbelievable.
Oh, it was all in my fleet, mate. That's when all the good ideas come to head. You got to write them down somewhere.
That's why you're the third man on this podcast, and I hope you're prepared for this segment. This is your time to shine, Janath. This is why you're on the podcast, and I cannot wait for it. Janath's numbers. This is where he's going to break down every single relevant stat for the week, and I can't wait. I'm not even going to go into it. You don't even deserve an intro. Get stuck into it, Janath. What do you got for us?
All right, thank you, mate. So there's not much data to break down this week, SuperCoach wise. So what I've thought is, well, if the NBA has their triple doubles, what's the AFL's equivalent for that? So I've done a bit of testing. A couple of mates. Just one of our sort of fans over the years. What is a triple double in AFL terms? So you boys can sort of butt in here and let me know if I've got this right. But I'm thinking 20 disposals, 10 marks or 10 tackles, and then one of 10 contested possessions, clearances, or 5 goals. So you've got to have 20 disposals, 10 marks, 10 clearances. That is a triple double in AFL terms. Now, we can see in round 1, there were no triple doubles. So it looks like the formula, the secret herbs and spices, is holding up, because we don't want too many of them. They lose their value then. So, but we did have 5 close calls. So all of these guys got within 1 of a triple double. Now, you might be wondering, why the hell is this in a SuperCoach podcast? Well, SuperCoach points is based off stats, right? So you would think that these guys, they're racking up the stats, they'd be racking up the points. Well, we can see that most of the guys in the close calls did pretty well. I think we'll give stat line of the week to Matt Rowell: 28 disposals, 8 tackles, 21 contested possessions, 9 clearances. Monster game. He was trying to go for the quadruple double in this way.
Yeah. Got close.
Yeah. So that's what I've been experimenting with. What do you boys reckon?
Absolutely love it, mate. Absolutely love it. And the fact that no one got it this week, I think puts into perspective. It's not easy to achieve. It's not an easy achievement getting the AFL triple double. 5 blokes that got pretty close there. But mate, I love it. And as you said, there's not too much data at the moment. So I love the concept, mate. And I'd love to actually track this throughout the year and see who can achieve the most in 2023. Yeah. So I love it, mate. Absolutely love it.
Spills? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Such good insight. I look at James Sicily there. That is a massive standout for myself. Obviously, being at the game, I think he wins the most marks this year. They use him. It is unbelievable. I mean, basically screaming. Hawthorn bloke having a shot at goal. You get out of his seat and be like, kick it to Sicily. And he's like 100 meters behind the play. I wouldn't even be surprised if they just played on elected and retreated. I mean, yeah, he's literally the quarterback. And I didn't know Brendan Cox got that many that many marks either. 20 marks. That's
it
we
was
saw Laird get
disgusting.
20 tackles last year. 20 marks in a game. That's got to be almost a record if I've ever seen it.
A record is 24 for your.
It's not far off, is it? That's
Yeah, he had 20 at 3/4 time. He didn't get any marks in the 4th quarter. I got robbed.
Oh, you're joking. He's spewing. What
So,
else is, no offense to Brendan Cox, but that's something that he could have had, the most marks at least. You know, I don't know what else he's going to get. Hopefully premiership for himself or something one day.
He's a good player. But no, so for the community out there, what I implore you guys to do is keep track of these AFL triple doubles. Let me in on any sort of insights you guys have. If you want to be on triple double watch, go for your life. I would love to get the community involved here. And what we'll have is, in this segment, before we go into the actual proper SuperCoach data, we'll have a tracker on the screen somewhere of how many triple doubles we've got throughout the season. So we're at 0 at the moment. Boys, who do you predict will get the first one?
The first triple double, I'm going with my boy Josh Dunkley there. He's going to bounce back this week. Dunkley's going to bounce back this week.
Friday game.
Sorry, I'm going to change it to Rory Laird. Talk about someone that's going to bounce back.
Right.
This man's going to have a monster this week and really hurt the people that have traded him out. After one round.
I like that. I think Dunks is a good call. Got the Friday game, so he might get the first one. And then Laird backs him up. Hopefully, that SuperCoach dream right there. So we'll back him in spills. Going with either of those two?
I'm going to stick with Dunkley because the only reason he didn't get there was because, well, Port Adelaide just pulled some sort of Houdini out of the hat and went on a run and stole a point. Yeah. Dunkley was on track for a 160 at halftime, just about before all this happened in the 3rd quarter. If Rose Horn Francis and whoever else was run through their butters. And so, yeah, it was just a bit of a unexpected thing. And I don't know, I'm a bit nervous with Dunkley because I'm not quite sure. Doesn't have a great record. Melbourne are very hard to score against, but just on what I saw round 1, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Dunkley. I don't know if I'm game enough to VC him, but I would not be surprised if he was the one out of all these guys that got there. And a cheeky mention of Sicily as well, because as I said, he's the number 1 distributor out of halfback, and he should win the competition with marks quite comfortably this year, I reckon. So, yeah, I like what you've done here, Janath. Really hot start from you, and the expectation has definitely exceeded, and really can't wait to see what you've got for the rest of us throughout the season with the JANATH'S numbers. And yeah, really enjoyed that, mate. Is it going to be something a little bit different each week, or is it you sort of looking at that same stuff?
Can't give too much away at the moment, but there are some plans plotting alongside the triple double. So I guess the viewers will just have to tune in every week to see what's on offer.
Double in, if you will, to the viewers
and the listeners. And the listeners can't forget that. We're going on Spotify, hopefully.
That's right. We need to remember as well, even with these visuals that we've got up, because we've always been YouTubers, obviously, that we do need to cater for the audio side of things. So yeah, that's definitely something we'll keep in mind. So we're definitely trying to get this up on Spotify. Bit of a new thing for us, but yeah, we will certainly make sure we try to cater for the podcast audience as well as the visual audience as well.
Yeah, and for those who are on Spotify listening, well, the visuals and the video will be on DR's channel, obviously. So if you really do want to check it out, there's we've got everything up there on screen as well for those who are obviously just listening. But most of our viewers should be on YouTube anyway. But yeah, Spotify will be a really handy thing to listen to for those who are in the car and stuff like that. But yeah, the visuals are always quite handy. Well, while we're talking about the viewers and the engagement, well, this is a new segment. I'm really looking forward to this one as well. So I know you've got the questions with you at the moment, DR. This is a mini Q&A. This is called Open Mailbag. So this is where we go through the Twitter and suss out the relevant comments for this week. People are a little bit rattled on what they're going to be doing. What should they do? Their moves, their trades, their thoughts. Well, we're here to answer them. This is our mail. And DR, you're probably going to host this segment. I think this might be almost your segment. I think Janath and I will add on it, considering it's on your Twitter. You can read them out and go around the room, see what we reckon. But let's have a look, mate. What do you got for us?
Yeah, well, first off, we'll make sure every week, maybe the night, even a couple of days beforehand, we will put a tweet up each week. So any questions that you want to pop through, make sure you pop them down there in the comments. We'll do our best to get to them. We are already over time as compared to what we'd planned to do. So we'll try to race through these as soon as possible. We'll obviously iron out some of the creases over the first couple of episodes. And once we really get into the swing of things, and we'll hopefully, have a lot more time for questions at the end. But first one, SuperCoach is life. Who to cut first, Bruin or Flanders for Sheasel, or both, and get Horn Francis too? Janath, any thoughts on this one, mate?
I think it's pretty easy for me. I didn't want to start Sam Flanders for this exact reason. Is just doesn't have the role. Bruin, at least, if he gets subbed out, he's going to have enough points banked up already. Flanders scored 2 goals, 19 possessions. I think it was 19 possessions. Mostly junk time. I just can't see Flanders doing overly well this year. It's not a failed pick by any means, but he's probably just not going to make the cash that, well, in this case, Bruin may make, specifically given the role. But TBH, I wouldn't be moving both on for Horn Francis. I'd be waiting a week on Horn Francis.
I agree with you there, Janath, in terms of wait a week for Horn Francis. But I'm going to go ahead and casually lock horns if you're on that one. I would get rid of Bruin over Flanders because of the price. And I think we saw Flanders hit the ton twice in the practice match. I think Flanders will be a bit of a slow burn, and there will be an occasional game where he does stink it up a little bit. Luckily, he saved his score. But because he's 256K and Bruin's, I think, 311, I mean, I think just on that, I know the role's terrible, like small forward, should hit the scoreboard. And Gold Coast got smashed. I mean, they look a lot better this year. I think they just got exposed and weren't ready for the chaos, where Bruin's role is on the forward side of mid, where he's or forward side of wing, where he's probably going to not see a lot of it. Be a bit of a pressure play, but the CBAs are down and the time on ground is down. It's died in the arse, if I'm being honest. So I think Flanders, if you had to pick, but in conclusion, mate, I think don't go early on Horn Francis. I'm going to stick fat on my my SuperCoach segment, and wait another week on Horn Francis. So
see what the 55K gives you. What does the 55K do for you? Gets you someone, gets you a primo, go with Bruin. If it doesn't, I'd go with Flanders. Next one.
Agreed. All right, footy tragic. First one, we've got JHF versus Zeeble. Janath, any thoughts on this one here, mate? A couple of really relevant players after week one, and a tough decision. Who you going, mate?
Oh, this is. Can I say neither? Definitely not this week. I wouldn't be bringing either of these guys in this week. It's too tough. Zeeble played West Coast. No contested possessions. I know, Spills, you disagree with me, and I know who you're going to say if you had to trade one in this week. But yeah, I think I need another week of data on both of them.
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with you there, Janath. Out of Horn and Zeeble, I think Horn Francis has a higher ceiling, where Zeeble's got the safer role. But we've only seen it for 1 week. Give him another week. Wait and see what happens. There's every chance that Horn Francis bombs like I said he would probably, but there's every chance he doesn't. And I don't know. 1 week's not enough, and the same can be said with Zeeble. I mean, I'm not sure. Is he the same as 2021? Chandler versus Pedler. Chandler, if you had to pick because of the price and the score's a bit better. Hewlin and Michelini versus Cole. I like Michelini. I really do. Adelaide have backed him in. If you need a defender rookie, that's who I would pick out of the two.
Wow.
Cole plays a bit lockdown, and well, look at Hewlin. He's one of the most injury-prone rookies going around. So yeah, Michelini. If I had to pick, probably neither. But if you're going to pick any of the three, I'll go Michelini. And thoughts in Bruin and Hopper. This is what I've been stuck on for so long. I think I'm going to get rid of Bruin because he's a pod. And if he stinks it up again this week, I get hurt. Where at least if Hopper stinks it up, I think a lot of the comps going to go through with that. So probably trade Bruin. I think I'll be trading Bruin for Callahan this week. So, yeah. that's my thoughts on that one.
If I go very quickly here, Pedler, better role, better JS, but he's in a worse team and he's more expensive. So I think it sort of evens out. Just go with what can the money do. But again, give both guys another week. Michelini, I thought's the one that had the lockdown role. I thought he's playing more a key role than Cole is. Cole, because when you have McGovern and you have Barras and Hearn even there, I think Cole was taking a small forward, even though it was a lockdown role. They sort of trusted him with the ball, exiting defense. So I'm not as sort of worried about his role as some others, like maybe yourself, Spills, are. And he's more experienced, got much more years in the system. But I do agree with you, and he looked good against Sydney, but if he's injury prone and they got a plethora of halfbacks to come back, Charlie Consworth, possibly the worst 26 possession game of all time.
Oh,
Yeah,
Cook
agree.
it drop.
Yeah.
Weller to come back in, Lemons to come back in.
Yeah.
Who am I missing? Will Powell to come back in. There's just halfbacks to come back in for Gold Coast. You're like, someone's got to go out, right? And Brandon Ellis, can't forget him either. So, and then with the last question there, Bruin and Hopper, I think hold one, if not both, unless you can get up to a premium. That's my
if you have to trade,
suggestion. Yes. Bruin is probably safer to trade than Hopper is. Hopper just looks slow. He just didn't look. He didn't look like he was AFL fit. So yeah, is there anything you want to add, DR, to any of that?
Look, the only thing that I'll add, when we're trying to answer questions like Horn Francis versus Zeeble, versus the Bruin types, it's so tough because we've only had a week starter. These scores can be very circumstantial. We will look at Horn Francis. That Brisbane midfield was off. We're meant to be one of the strongest midfields in the competition. Surely, every week you're not going to be able to get it that easy. Zeeble, we saw play against the Eagles. He's not going to play West Coast every week. So for me, that's why I'm possibly not looking to boost this week, because I'm just not sure on which one is best at the moment. It's only been a week starter. So that's why I'm keen on going to Sheasel, who I think is an absolute must-have, and then someone all the way up to a Goulden. When I say all the way up, we're not going an absolute premium here, but we're paying an extra 100 or whatever than we are for Zeeble or a Horn Francis. So for me, that's why I'm happy to do that this week. Go Goulden and Sheasel. But I'm not quite comfortable selecting another mid-pricer because I just don't think that's enough data to be able to commit to a trade, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
So that's all I'll add to that. Next one, the Duke. How are you, mate? Who should be trades out of? So I've got Jones, Cunnington, Gota, Wanganeen, Millera, Hopper, Bruin. Look, for me, I think that probably Gota. Look, I'd be happy to trade pretty much any one of these guys. I don't think Gota you really need to. He's the cheapest pretty much option there, isn't he? Cunnington really underperforms. Yeah, I'd have no problems trading out any player bar Gota myself. Janath?
I think he can also... It's funny because you want Liam Jones not to play in this round. Because
you do. It's funny,
plays,
isn't it? Yeah.
He's got a beautiful matchup against the Saints, and you can't use him as your loop. But if he doesn't play, you can either use him to loop Cowan or trade him out if you want. So
I don't want to do that.
I don't want to. I'm not
I don't
trading
trust
out Liam
Cowan.
if he doesn't play. Well, no, you emergency. You put the loop on Cowan, and then you have your D7 if he doesn't do too well. Yeah, whoever, Wilmot, Gota, whoever it is. Out of the other ones, Hopper, I think, to keep. I'm trading Nazaya regardless to Callahan. It's just whether or not I do that one trade alone or do a boost, which is the other part to this question, get cogs in. And I think to answer the following question as well in this same breath, the best Josh Kelly replacement this week isn't even a mid. If you don't have Stephen Caniglio, it is Stephen Caniglio.
Agree.
Yeah.
And that's my take on it. Because the way he played, and if Rory Laird is saying the heat was bad, that makes that more impressive, because
Yeah.
I didn't think he had it in him, and that's why I didn't start him. I'm obviously in this position because he was not in my team, and I just need him. I don't have Josh Kelly, but I'm going to try get Stephen Coniglio in. And if you want to trade Josh Kelly, I think he's the way to go. What do you guys reckon?
I think Cogs is probably my number. Well, why don't we give, let's just say, because lots of DPP can be used. So maybe let's give a forward, a back, and a midfielder then. So if it's a defender, I think it's pretty clearly Nick Dacos. Just jump on with a crowd if you don't have him. Midfielder,
Or
if you don't have Tom Green. Oh, sorry, mate.
James Sicily.
Or Sicily, you can't really go wrong.
You
only,
go
was
up
it only
Sicily.
one kick out on the weekend as well?
Yeah,
So 30 touches,
incredible.
one kick. That's crazy.
His price is shambolic too.
Kick-outs, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty nuts. Yeah. Or else Tom Green, if you don't have him, I think he's looking super at the moment. And then you've got obviously Cogs as well. So I'd go Dacos, Green, Cogs for me.
Yeah.
Spills?
Out of these ones, I would definitely trade Cunnington because he's priced at a keeper's price in the forward line and he scored the same as Bruin. So you got to get out of that. Shorty's got Cunnington and sorry, mate, but he's got to go, I think. I don't mind Jones. I know he's going to bleed a bit of coin, but we saw what the Dockers defenders did against St Kilda. So I'm more than happy if he's up and playing. I'm just going to wing it and see what happens. Highly owned. And I don't have Wangini Malira, so commiserations to you two and Hopper and Bruin. We just discussed on. So, yeah, definitely Cunnington out of these ones. And the boost, I think you only need to use a boost if you're in really serious trouble. So if you've got Stewart or who else went down that's not going to play this week, but
Kelly,
he's got to go. Yeah, Kelly. Yeah, so obviously, yeah, no shit. So if you got those two or one of those two, I think you can, but I don't have either. I'm just using the one trade, but yeah, I don't know. I think that's the only time you use a boost. I would save it. If you can use two trades, avoid the boost. But if you have to, I don't see why not. And Josh Kelly replacement, I think Coniglio 100%, even in the midfield, honestly. Like forward midfield, he is going to pants the absolute shit out of West Coast. He's a star. He's got a stunning record on them, and I can't wait to see what he does. Another honourable mention, we've all got Tom Green, but I like the pod, LDU. Yeah. He's going to have a serious year. I don't. His bloke's not mucking around. So if you want a pod, I'll jump
Brent's on LDU this week. He's jumping on the train. Yeah.
So if you that's another one. In defence, definitely Dacos. And if you got Dacos, then for that same price, jump on Ridley. But I think Dacos for sure. So yeah, good stuff, boys. Don't mind it.
If you have Dacos already, that's what I was saying before with Josh Kelly. If you've got Dacos already, you just need another 40K to get to Sicily. Is the way he looked. I've got Dawson. I'm happy with Dawson, but I'm like, Sicily, he looked incredible. So Sicily or Dacos, LD or Green, Cogs, those are probably like the big five in terms of primo trade-ins this week.
Do you use a boost and get the 3 Freo defenders if the bastards are going to tip it around like that each week? Ryan, Cox, and Young. Come into the team, boys. Come into the team.
That's obscene. I'd be surprised if Crazy Frogs did something like that.
I love Jules. I love it. He's a great.
He's unreal.
So following him. He loves the pod, mate. Loves the pod. Shout out to you as well, Jules. Next one's from Place here, legend from Twitter. Hey lads, hope you're well. Thanks, dude. Thinking of doing these trades ahead of round 2. Jones to Ridley or Dacos, looking great so far. Bruin to Sheasel, I've got no problems there. Flanders to McKenna by Davey. I think they're awesome trades, to be honest. So out Jones, Bruin, Flanders in Ridley, Sheasel, or Dacos, Sheasel, McKenna. Love him. Absolutely love him.
So, I think you need to do that. If you don't have...
Sorry, mate. Gives him a must-have rookie in Sheasel. Only thing is Radaglia goes to F6. Look, I think with some of the scores that we've seen round 1, I'm not too concerned personally with Radaglia at F6. It's not ideal, but we've seen some of the scores from some of these mid-prices from the 5s of the world, and so I don't think that's... I really love those trades, boys.
I think given you're bringing in Sheasel and McKenna as well, those are probably the two most must-have rookies.
You need those two.
You need those two.
Doing it early.
So I think it's worth using a boost. And Ridley versus Dacos, it's really a personal sort of thing. I'm hearing that Dacos's run is a bit soft for a couple of weeks, but then he gets the big 4 tagging teams, I think, in succession, and that's just. It's almost as if you didn't start Dacos, why would you bring him in now? Even though it's like one extra data point. So it's risky to use a boost on Dacos, but I think the other 2 moves make up for it. So in some other instances, I'm seeing other people bringing in Dacos with the boost, but in this one, I think it's fine.
I think that massively improves that side, placing side.
I don't need to add on that. I'm not going to add on that. That's fine.
Yeah. All right, cool. So thumbs up placing. I think you got 6 likes here, mate. I don't think that was just because it was a good question. I think people are probably saying, there's some really good trades there, mate. Next one, Brisbane Lons. How are you, mate? Hey guys, just wondering about your thoughts. This was an interesting one. Jack Buckley at 205 as a potential Jones downgrade. The role probably isn't great, but he managed to reach 350k in 2021. I'll just jump in quickly. I think you may have even answered this question yourself, mate. The role probably isn't great. And, going back to 2021, reached 350, it's still not really setting the world on fire, mate. So, look, for me, it's hard when we don't know what the rest of his side looks like, but someone like a McKenna is an absolute no-brainer over someone like a Buckley if you don't have him. For me, I'd probably even go a Stocker at around that price personally. Cole as well.
Okay, Cole.
There's probably, look, to be honest, I don't know how you boys feel. I'd even go down to a Michelini type over a Buckley myself. And that may be because I don't respect the pick enough or know enough about the pick. But at 205k, mate, I don't love it personally.
I guess the other thing to add here is that Buckley was a late in for Lee Kalia. So when the Lear's back, Buckley's probably most likely straight out, right? So his role's not great, his job security's not great. Apart from him being a pod, is what's really the appeal there?
Yeah, and not only that, but Jones has got a very good matchup against St Kilda, and he's not going to lose money this week. If he does spud it up, we've got Jack Bowes playing this week, who's not far above. So if you can find some money for him as a fallback, I like that. Because Bowes looks like he might get a pinch in the midfield, which has me tearing my hair out with Bruin. Hence why I'll probably trade him out, I think. But I would wait a week. I would assess the situation after round 2 and see what the go is, because you're not going to lose money with Jones yet. But I think that is don't get Buckley. I think there's way better options, and I think personally Bowes next week if he plays good. But let's wait and see. Bit of speculation, but
if you can get another week of data, mate, it's really easy. I'm assuming most people have like a Cowan. Chuck Lee on Cowan. If you got a Wilmot, he plays, I think, the second game of the week. So it's really easy, mate, just to chuck the emergency on, even if he doesn't play, I think, mate. No rush to trade him out. Our next one is Causa, an absolute legend of the channel. If I'm ranked 13k, should I go aggressive these next 2 weeks to get an edge on the competition, to get to top 5k or higher in rank? Yeah, look, Causa, I don't know if you need to be boosting when you're talking about going aggressive, mate. If you're 13k, you're going a lot better than any of us, Causa. So, look, if you think there's some must-haves that you don't have, mate, so, for example, a Sheasel type, then do that. But also, mate, there's no harm in leaving some trades in the bank. I know we've got 36, but you can go really hard during upgrade season. I think don't be afraid to go aggressive, but don't just do it just for the sake of it, mate. You're in a really good position for round 1 at the moment. I think you're fine just to cruise if you need to, Causa. Janath, any thoughts, mate?
Yeah, 100% agree. Even in Causa's position, I wouldn't mind a 2k rank drop if it means I didn't use a trade, because what's that showing is the team is holding up even without the trades, and then you have these trades against other people in the back end of the season. You could use an extra boost. In your position, I probably wouldn't be boosted unless you got to 13k and you somehow have gaping holes in your team, which is unlikely. But yeah, just take it easy. You can even assess. You have the ability to be a bit more patient at 13K. You don't win SuperCoach in, what are we in March? Late March. You win in the end of August, right? So yeah, probably.
All right, here we go. Quickly from Romy. G'day, buddy. I love to you guys discuss Callahan, Dacos, Ridley, Horn, Francis. I think we've actually done pretty much everyone,
All
mate.
that, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Callahan's that
Yeah.
winner. Spills the same or that swooper type. Dacos we like. Short term, long term, we're not too sure about some of those tag games. Ridley's looking great. And Horn Francis we'd probably wait on at this stage, mate. Abs, another legend. How are you, mate? Great to have you boys back. Cheers, mate. Think of using a boost getting Horn Francis, Dacos, McKenna for Jelly, Chesser, and Jones. Leaves me with Ed Richards, Jimby, McKenna, D6. Warple, Ash, McKenzie, M8. Goulden, Zeeble, Shees, F6. Gee, that's looking all right. Thoughts on the trade structure? Thoughts on playing aggressive? I like that structure there. I love Dacos in. I love McKenna in. I'm just not sure on Horn Francis. But the fact that
I don't
Chesser
think that's
and
worth
Jones
it.
out, I think that's okay.
You reckon it's okay? Because it's a boost used on moving a premium to a possible premium.
Sorry, not the
Yeah.
boost. Sorry, I liked the fact that that Chesser and Jones are going out of the side.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't necessarily like a boost for that. I just think there's still some question marks on Horn Francis. And
I
you're
wouldn't
right.
boost for Jason. That's just saying.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Not now. Maybe next week. If I
You
had to.
picked Jelly with the mindset that he's going to be close to an Uber. And a concussion shouldn't deter you from that.
So you're saying Kate, you're saying hold Jelly.
I'm saying hold hold Jelly.
Him.
And two, if you do trade Jelly, don't trade him. Well, given the money here, there's no reason why you can't do Jelly and Dacos. Oh, sorry, Jelly to Dacos, Jones to McKenna, and hold Chester for next week. Unless there's more issues, which by the looks of his team, the structure is shown, doesn't look like there's too many issues.
Yeah,
it's got Ed Richards at D4.
Yeah, Zeeble. Yeah, Warp.
So,
yeah.
That's what I'd be doing.
Yep.
If he wants to trade Jelly.
Yep. Spills, any different thoughts there at all, mate? Or
I don't. If you got good cover, I don't mind holding Jelly. It's just 1 week, and I did have him for a lot of the preseason. I think he should be a top 10 at least midfielder for total points or average wise. I think you can even push. I think you can even push top 8 for average, not total points because he might miss it here and there. But I really like him as a pick, so I wouldn't use your boost. I'm very against boost in round 1. That's just me, but could be each to their own.
All right, guys. Well, we've actually run out of time for the mailbag for this week. Apologies if we didn't get to your question. If I didn't, I'll make sure that I go back to Twitter and answer it myself and comment down below. But thanks for everyone that did leave a question. Again, I'll pop up a tweet just before the time of recording next week to give you the chance to ask one again. So apologies if we didn't quite get to it. But yeah, we have gone way over time. Spills.
Yeah, we'll finish off with our captains, I think, which is probably the obvious thing. So, look, I'll start off with mine. So, VC for this week, I'm not backing Rory Laird in. I should, but I'm a bit scared. I think he will respond. But I'm going Bonampally because, well, this bloke's a pretty bad man against St Kilda. He nearly hit 200 last year, 181 points against them in round 18, and then the year before that, he's in 2021, 159. So just absolutely smashes them. And yeah, I don't mind St Kilda supporters, but I don't think they're going to be the best team this year. And Bonampally had a frustrating one last week against the D's, and I think he's going to back it up. And if that goes to not to plan, well, I think I'm just going to fall back on Tommy Green against West Coast. I think he's going to beat up on some pretty ordinary teams. I think he'll be the sort of guy that does his best work on the rabble teams, where up against a competitive team, I think that will sort of slow him down a bit. But West Coast don't look competitive, so yeah, I'm going to do that, boys. What about yourself, Dow? What are you thinking?
Awesome. Well, look, if I was a Cogs owner, I'd definitely have him in my mix. But unlike you, Spills, I'm going to back in Rory Laird this week. I wouldn't trust him as my captain, but I think vice captain's okay. And I'm going to back that up, same as you, mate, with Tommy Green against West Coast. After last week's game, that was phenomenal. He's playing an absolute nothing midfield. No disrespect to West Coast. What is very disrespectful saying it's a nothing midfield, but you know what I mean. It's the team that you want to come up against if you've got a premium midfielder. So yeah, lead into green for me, mate. How about you, Janath?
Yeah.
Oh, it's tough because I want it back in lead. Hurt twice, once bitten, twice shy though. So Marcus Bontempelli as well, 181 and 159. Like you mentioned, Spill, it's just brilliant, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go VC lead into Bont, but at the same time, I'm thinking lead into green. I don't know. It's going to be one. I think I'm going to VC one of lead or Bont, just because there's that. It's the 4:35 game into the 7:25 one. There's just not enough time to really get the post-scaling adjustments to really lock it in. But yeah, I think green is a great choice this week. He looks better, looks fitter, and he's playing West Coast, who, like we've said, is not the best team this year, and they're going to give up abundant points, like we saw with LDU last week.
Yep.
On the green train. Well, hopefully we don't even need to use green, boys. Hopefully our VCs smash it out of the park, which hopefully means that we're going to have a decent week, if that's the case.
Exactly.
But yeah, all aboard the green train if the VCs don't come through.
Yeah, good stuff, boys. Well, how'd we go? That was a good first podcast. Definitely went on a little bit longer than we would have liked it to, but I think this can be excused as our first episode because I'm doing my best. I'll try and wrap it up to best and shortest ability. But I think the reason it's so long is because of all these new segments. We have to sort of explain what they're all about. So I think we need to put the time in for that. So I think next week, well, if you don't know what the segments are, watch the previous week. Like we'll just jump straight into it. So I think we'll aim for maybe an hour. I like that. It's a good time frame. But yeah, pushing an hour and 20 minutes now, most likely. Yeah. So I think it's fine. The Face Take TV boys go on for a while, and people don't seem to tune out of that. So look, I don't mind it. Really enjoyed the first podcast, and kudos to you, Janath. Really well done for your first episode, and cannot wait to have you on with myself and DR, who's my partner in crime. It's going to be unreal. What a trifecta this is going to be for 2023 and seasons onwards from that. I'm getting my tongue twisted a little bit. It's nearly 10 o'clock. Probably
it's that jaw surgery as well, mate. Jeez, fractured jaw today.
He's done well.
Yeah, they broke my jaw today as well.
Mate, really?
Doing it for broken jaw. So, no, well, you get that on the big jobs.
To the cause. What a good man.
You're good man.
Yeah. All right. Well, good stuff, boys. Well, ended it there. Give us a like if you just tuned in. If you've enjoyed the podcast, we'll be on DR's channel, so I don't need to plug DR. I think he needs to plug me and Janath, if I'm being honest. But you guys know where it's going to be. Tune in every Wednesday night. It should be up. So we'll see how we go. It might chop and change, but yeah, good stuff, boys. We'll see you in the next video.
Have a good week, this boys. Good stuff. Good luck.
To the SuperCoach gods. Be kind. Good on you, boys.